Just going back to last week's game, happy with the shutout. Obviously, anytime you can do that, and the way the defense played in the second half in particular, holding them to 17 total yards, 8 3-and-outs, and continue to play well on third down. Got a few more plays in their backfield. Offensively, keeping the ball, for 40-some minutes and having great balance and time of possession and just being consistent. I thought we didn't start as good as I was hoping. We had obviously the first play, their defensive end got to Jacoby, beat Joe there off the edge, and then the second play we held him, and then after that I thought we settled in. I thought Joe really played well after the first two plays, Joe Tooney. But we did increase our explosive plays. We had 4 passes over 20 yards, and we were able to limit theirs, which was a problem in game 1, and made an improvement that area defensively. We were 6 coming up here on a stretch. 6 of the next 8 games are on the road, so I really have to work hard on doing what we've done, consistently at home and taking it with us, which at the end of the year we did a good job finishing. Played well at South Florida early in the season, and then, with Syracuse, UNC, and then our bowl game, just continuing with that preparation and making sure the guys understand how to handle different places, different locker rooms, different fields, different crowds. The routine will be very similar, but the locations are different. Excited to play Old Dominion, and they have a sellout, I've been told, so should have a great crowd. And they're 2-0. Last year came here, and so we're familiar with what they do. They are different offensively. Their tailback's leading the nation in rushing, Lowry. So last year they really featured their quarterback, who was a great player, and I believe he made the Vikings roster. So good for him. Their defense is active up front. I think their D-line has gotten better. They're playing active. They're using their hands well. They've tackled well defensively in the first 2 games. They've got 4 takeaways and 4 sacks. For us, it's just, a continuation of trying to improve on the little things and details. Our preparation and focus will be really key. I think, just being a good road team, that's what it's about. It's just focusing on us and what we can control, understanding that their crowd's going to have their traditions and their songs and, what they do when they get a first down and all those things, but we really control how much they do it by how we play. So we just got to do a good job of controlling every situation we can and, continuing to get better as a team. Questions?
Coach, I think you'll bring Shad back this week with the way that Matt's been going. How does that kind of work, and what would you like to see out of him?
Well, it works well. I think we've been rotating. Matt's had 50-some plays in the last 2 games, which is a lot. And, DeQuay and Reggie have gotten quite a few balls. I mean, Brady got some. So it also helps us with some of the packages that we haven't shown. So there's some more things that we can do personnel-wise now that he's back. And really, David, Greenwich is probably back to full strength finally, too. And so to be able to use him more. But it gets us back to where we want to be, being able to play those 2 together and then rotate them where they're fresh. And I think it'll help them throughout the course of the season. And I look forward to having them because I think, their running styles are so different. Even though it's the same play, it's fit differently because of how they play. Where Shad's more of a guy that presses things and runs through contact, and Matt can make people miss and has really good cutting ability. It creates problems, and both of them are good out in space, and having them and Jay Sam and David Greenwich and Naheem, I just feel like we have some good weapons that we can move around on offense and be versatile with.
Coach, earlier Justin Burris said that you guys won't be taking ODU lightly. What do you think will be the key to getting some points up on the board early on and then maintaining that level of play through the second half?
It's just execution. I think, whatever the play is, it's really not the magic of the deal. It's how we execute what the play is, and whether it's a simple run or a 3-step or a screen or a deep ball, I mean, all of them have to be executed. And defensively, again, not giving up big plays. They will take chances as a football team. A season ago, I think they surprised onside, kicked 5 times as a football team, so they're going to take chances. They've got all the screens, and then they have all the fake plays off the screens and the throwback plays, and you know they've always been an explosive offense under Coach Wilder. So they've been pretty vanilla in the first 2 games and relied a lot on the run game. So hopefully we'll be able to stop the run and put them into an offense that they haven't had to run in the first 2 games.
You've talked on it. Justin said the same focus on taking this team on the road, but technically, how far along is this team in respect to where you want it to be in this season? Just across the board, Jacoby's got a great completion percentage, defense has posted a shutout, but where is this team in the big picture?
We've gotten better from week 1 to week 2, and I think that's where we're at. I can't tell you until we keep going, but we've gotten better. I don't want to compare it to last year's team because it's not last year's team. We're better in week 2 than we were in week 1. And the things we're asking the guys to do, you see them trying to do those things. They're very coachable. And I'm impressed with our return game. Last year, that was a weakness for our football team. And Braylon Cherry's really helped us, and now the guys are straining to block for him. There's some great blocks on those returns. And but, we got a lot of things we need to do before I can tell you where we're at,
In terms of clean play, minimizing penalties as always, you want none always, but is that one of the biggest areas of improvement you still want to see from your team?
It is. I mean, we'll always stress not beating ourselves, and we had more penalties this week than last. I do think the game was called closer too. There were some plays that usually don't get called and were, and that's just the way it is, But the players need to play with technique and play aggressive and understand what's going to get called and what isn't, and then adjust kind of as you go. Some games they let you play more than others, and so every game's a little different that way. But we're always going to fight hard not to beat ourselves with penalties and turnovers.
And you guys been pretty balanced so far offensively between run and pass. Now that you're likely going to be at full strength this week with running backs, do you see that skewing more towards a little bit more run heavy, or do you like the balance you guys have so far?
No, I don't ever want to be one-dimensional. I mean, to me, if we can continue to be down the path we're on where everybody's involved, I mean, that's what makes your team play harder, too, in practice. If they all know they can get the ball at any time, they're going to understand that. And how you stop getting it is stop giving it to them. I mean, you got to – if I'm Ramos, I want to play hard knowing that I could get – he's got 10 catches in 2 games, I mean, that's great. So does Jay Sam, but I know, Cherry's fighting to get more balls. So is Austin's. And Naheem had 2 drops, and then he came back with a good catch and run. So, I mean, you can see the guys understand they just got to keep making plays, and they'll keep getting them. And the backs are going to run hard because they know there's 4 of them back there now. So it's fun. It's fun to see that. And we just got to get healthy on the line of scrimmage now and get those guys back.
I don't know if you can have a universal policy with violations or rule breaking in terms of one player over and over. But are you comfortable with the number of chances that you've given Shad, and do you have to have a conversation with him like 3 strikes and you're out, or is it, how does that kind of work a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, every single player that I've ever dealt with, it always comes down to, do I think there's reason to continue to work with this guy? Is he remorsed? Is he going to get better? Is this hurting our football team? And at some point you reach, no, I can't help him anymore. I'm done. And with him, I didn't feel that way. And, he's the best him that he's been since I've been here right now. I'm excited that he gets to play, and he's been through a lot that he's brought on himself, and he's learned from it. But if I felt like, I couldn't help him anymore, he wouldn't be here.
Jacoby's been really, really almost ridiculously efficient just as far as passing numbers so far this year. What challenges does going on the road, and you talked a little bit about being in a hostile environment and those things, what kind of challenges does that put on your offense, and do you expect any, is it reasonable to expect some kind of dip in those efficiency numbers?
Well, at home they're not loud on 3rd down when you're on offense. On the road, that's the difference, and when he's going in to score a touchdown, they're going to be loud, And so now it's just functioning with the crowd noise and making sure that the communication with the protections or the routes or the formations or whatever the play calls for, that everybody's on the same page. So we'll practice with the speakers on high and make sure it's really loud. It's also, you know, a different surface, and so we'll be practicing either in the indoor or on our turf field all week so that we're used to the field turf, our kicker's kicking off of it. But for him, it's just running the offense with noise. That's it.
You mentioned the health of the offensive line. Barr with his either foot or ankle. I couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. But is he okay, or is that something you have to figure out this week?
Lower leg, and, you know, it's day to day. It's not a surgical type deal. It's more in the sprain variety. So the trainer will be up here in about an hour to talk to me about where he's at. So it's hopefully good news, but I haven't heard one way or the other where he is today. You know, he was in a boot for precaution after the game, and he wasn't on crutches or any of that kind of stuff that I saw. Bradbury's a lot better, so I'm hoping to hear good news about him, because that would help to get him back, who was playing the other. He was backing up Barr at one time. So, you know, we'll have some different guys while we cross-trained. You know, Tyler Jones and has played left guard as well, and obviously, you know, Tyrone Prescott's a guy that can play guard and center. John Toohey's a guy that played guard and center. And Bryce Kennedy played a lot in the game. So that was good for him to get those reps, because he may be the starter there this week. So we'll just have to see how it shakes out. And Joe, obviously, Tooney can move in there too. I mean, that's an option. But we'd love to get Bradbury back and give us one more guy that we can play.
On defense, do you expect McKeever and Tocho back and playing?
We could have played Jack in the game, and Coach just didn't feel like it was worth doing. Thought one more week would help him. And Farrow practiced last week, and the way the other guys were playing, you know, the way compared to how he practiced, he was out for almost a month, you know, so Coach Nielsen just didn't feel comfortable putting him in yet. So I'll have to see how he practices to answer your question, but I would assume Jack will play this week, and, you know, that'll really be based on what Coach Barlow sees in practice.
With Samuels, he seems like something of a secret weapon, although after the touchdowns, he's not much of a secret anymore. But
yeah.
What do you think makes him effective? I mean, not the biggest dude, and he's not probably not the fastest dude, but he seems like he scores every time he touches the ball.
He's just hard to tackle, and he's got great ball skills and vision, and he's a football player. He's really strong. I mean, that's the thing. People don't understand how strong that kid is. I mean, we back him down. I mean, he can get over 500 pounds on the squat rack and do it really easily. So, I mean, he's a really strong kid. But the thing that's great is he was trained like we're playing him. So, like, he was a receiver his freshman and sophomore year. He played receiver and H-back. And then his junior and senior year, he played receiver and tailback. So he's done all these things his whole career. And so for us, we're just using the skill set that he came here with. And, you know, it's nice to be in a system where you can put him in a lot of places and let him do what he does.
What kind of progression did he have to make for you to give him more? Because I'm thinking of the Syracuse fake punt is when I'm really thinking he really started to make a move there, when you maybe got some more trust in him.
There's just a lot of things terminology-wise that takes a little bit of time for some guys, and for him, because his role is as it is, he's doing a lot. So, and the blocking part was probably the thing that came last for him, because he didn't do it in high school. So he had to be able to protect or block the edges, and, you know, we use them on power plays, we use them on zone plays, we use them on sprint out plays where he's blocking an end. So that was probably the last thing that he had to earn Coach Faulkner's trust with before he was more of a role.
He feels like the opposite in terms of personality to Days to me. He seems like he's somewhat of a talker. And
Who's that?
Samuels, Jay Sam.
Compared to who?
Days.
Yeah, no, you're not going to get much out of Matt. No. He doesn't say a lot. Wish we had more guys like that. He's great.
Do you see Jumichael Ramos kind of emerging as your go-to downfield wide receiver?
Well, he's shown that in 2 games, you know. I mean, again, I still think there's a lot of growth that's going to happen on our team, you know. When you play as many young guys as we have, you know, Naheem, his upside is really high. And so as he starts to be more and more confident, and he dropped 2 balls, which shook him up, and then he came back with a nice play. And there's going to be a time where all of a sudden it starts slowing down and he's not nervous anymore, and then all of a sudden he's going to look faster, because he is really fast when he's playing confident football. And so that's another guy that could be a down-the-field threat for us. I think right now J. Mike and Jacoby have a good chemistry together. And so that's been something. I mean, there was a play in the game Saturday where there was a double move, and their corner played it. And so he threw a back shoulder ball to him on a double move, which is hard to do. And they acted like they'd done that 100 times together, you know, and that was a big-time play. So I'm excited about just their chemistry they have together right now more than anything.
You mentioned that Greenwich is at full health right now. What's been holding him back the past 2 games?
Well, he missed all of winter conditioning and almost half the summer, so he was out of shape. You know, I mean, he had a meniscus that we had to clean up, and he had a sore back coming out of the season that we had to rest, and just, you know, now he's finally healthy. He feels good, and I think he had strep throat or tonsillitis or something during training camp, and it's just like he can never be out there, you know. And it's hard when the other guys are practicing and he's not to be in shape. But he's had 2 really good back-to-back weeks of practice, and coach is kind of, I think he played 13 snaps in both games, so he came out of both games healthy and feels good, and he's starting to be really crisp again, and gives us a big target, which we need.
Coach, if you could talk a little bit about the improvement you've seen in Braylon Cherry from last season to this season, especially coming from last game.
Well, he's strong, and you're seeing that in his return. He's hard to tackle. I mean, a lot of yards after first contact. He's confident, which has helped him a lot, I think, and a lot of it goes to the technique of the guys playing in front of him, too. I think he's getting some tremendous blocking on the returns. He's starting them, there's no doubt, but, you know, you have to have an opportunity to get the thing started, and the corners have to keep the gunners from being in his face so he can get started on the return, and then you got to have the separation from the linemen coming down the field, and then he's got to be able to make some people miss when we fall off a block, and he's done that. So, you know, I really like the confidence, though, and he made a great catch. I mean, that catch he had on the sideline, too. I mean, that was a big-time play that he made in the game. So just seeing him do what he's capable of and you know, trust. And I think Coach McDonald and him have worked well together.
I don't know whether you've seen the notes or not, but what's your reaction to Dave Huxtable's striking resemblance to the world's most interesting man?
I think Annabelle is going to have a mad defensive coordinator when he sees it. But we make fun of him all the time for that, you know. It's a great picture. I don't know. Happy for him, I guess. He's famous.
Can you talk a little bit about the impact Benson Brown's made the past 2 games stepping in for Greenwich?
Really what he's done is last year Tyler Purvis was kind of that guy. You know, he's a guy no one really talked about, and then in the red zone he'd show up and make plays all the time. And Benson's really done a nice job, first of all, with his body. I mean, he's gone from a 270-pound guy to a 245-pound guy, and because of that, his athletic ability is coming out, and he's playing with confidence, and really happy for him because he's such a great kid that's a program guy. It's, you know, obviously his academic record people talk about a lot, you know, his degrees that he's earned here, and never on a list, you know, does things right, is a good leader in the locker room. And so for him to be productive in his senior year, that's what it's all about. You know, you love seeing seniors have great swan songs, I guess you'd say, and he's one of the guys that's doing that. And our tight ends get used a lot here. You know, I mean, we're out there a lot with 3 and 4 tight ends in our goal line packages. So with the way we can run the ball, they're going to have touchdown opportunities on play action passes, and he's taking advantage of the role. So he got 3 touchdowns on 4 catches, or he doesn't have more degrees than touchdowns anymore. Is that the deal? It's pretty good. All right, thank you guys.